If you're an entrepreneur looking to get into shape but you don't know where to start or you don't even know where to begin, then I'm gonna be the first one to tell you that you do not need to spend more than 3 hours a week in the gym to make immense progress. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most valuable content that I have made on this channel, simply because I want you guys to make actionable steps that you can take to make the same amount of progress that I have made in 10x or even 100x the speed. In this video, I will be giving you away the secrets and all the source that I have collected throughout the 3 years that I've been training. I will be giving away the mental framework that I have built to catapult my progress to astronomical levels. So without further ado, I'll head to my Miro board and we'll get started. All right, so we're back in the Miro board and I'll first introduce myself and I'll first introduce how I got into the gym, and then I'll go into the mental frameworks and the actual beef and turkey of the video today. So 3 years ago I was 48 kilograms. I had really low confidence and I had no idea what to do in the gym, and because I was so fixated on trying to improve myself, in a way I was lost in life and I was always in the constant hamster wheel of trying to improve. 2 years ago, so 1 year from when I first started, I built a really good foundation, calisthenics, and in just 8 months I skyrocketed my physique, and that skyrocketed my confidence as well. However, I always wanted to do better. I always felt like I was more. So when progress was slower and when progress almost stagnated, I felt lost again. And this was because with calisthenics, I realized that it takes longer than it should to progress. Whereas if you're in the gym, you progress so much faster. And this is me now, where I transitioned fully from calisthenics into the gym. And I gained a lot of knowledge about training styles and nutrition, where less is perhaps actually more. And I helped others grow and I helped others become better people. And all my clients have increased their mental health, increased their physical health too. So yeah, I had a deep understanding about food, bulking, cutting, and I used nutrition to my advantage, which allowed me to make delicious meals and very, very, very good meals, which you might assume to be, unhealthy and stuff, but actually turns out to be quite rich in calories, quite rich in macros. Some of my clients, for example, Gabriel here, only 3 months working with me, he did a full body recomposition. So he stayed around the same weight, 70 kilos, but you can see that his body fat significantly decreased from 14% to 10%. You can see that his shoulders were way more rounded and that his back, you can't see from the first picture, but his back significantly improved. And then we have Thomas, who was doing a weight loss journey, and in 2 months, he lost a lot of weight and also gained strength. I think from 75 kilos down to 69 kilograms. He gained a lot of weight and his confidence skyrocketed. So this is the thing, you guys. The gym isn't just about trying to improve your physical health. It's also about the mental health that you're also improving and the confidence that you're feeling when you do feel the success of your improvements. And I just wanted to talk about the funnel that most people go through. So 90% of the people are over here, where there's an information overload, and that leads to analysis paralysis, whereby you analyze every single thing that you read online, but you don't know what's good or what's bad. Beginners are often inconsistent with their journey, and they go to the gym for the first few days, really consistent, and then that just goes downhill after the first few weeks. Often you hear the word optimal thrown around, and this kind of terrifies beginners because You don't know what's good, you don't know what's bad, you don't know what works for you, you don't know what doesn't work for you. And so that's where most people fall in. And as entrepreneurs, I think time constraint is a really big problem that you guys are all facing. And because of the time constraints, you're high stress and you've got low energy, which all builds up into a ball of just not going to the gym consistently. And so it all just leads back to each other. In the next funnel, we have the entrepreneurs who have started going to the gym. They might still have time constraints, they might have low energy, but they've realized what they needed, and they've realized what works for them and what doesn't. But sometimes they still could be inconsistent due to the fact that work is the predominant factor of their life. So they might not go to the gym as regularly. And here are where 1% of the people are, 1% of the entrepreneurs. So they have all the right training, they have all the right nutritions, and they all have all the right people as well, surrounding them and pushing them to do better. And so with my help, I funnel them straight through to the 1%. Because I've gone through the same journey as you guys have. I know what works and I know what doesn't. And I've trained other people and I know what works for their body types and what doesn't work for their body type. So you currently are in the 90%, but with my help, you will be in the 1% of people. And that just significantly reduces the amount of effort that you need to put into the gym. And like I said before, you don't need that much time in the gym anyways. 3 hours is all you need. And with those 3 hours, you can transform your body from the average 90% where people are down to where 1% of the people are, where you are the inspiration. You are what inspires people to change. And I think that's really, really important because it's just about improving yourself and trying to become the best person, trying to become the best version that you could ever be as an entrepreneur. And you've got to lock in on both the physical end, the mental end, and the spiritual end. Okay, so we move on to chapter 1. These are the training principles that I follow, which allowed me to build a really, really good foundation for when I started the gym. And it doesn't start from the physical, but it actually starts from the mental, which is the root of the root of where you need to start from. And as you can see, the two biggest things that new gym goers, especially new gym entrepreneurs, face is overcomplication and over-analysis. So from overcomplication, they might ask questions like, do I need to track every single rep, set, and tempo to make progress? Do I really need to train 6 days a week to see results? Are fancy machines and advanced exercises better than simple ones? Or from over-analysis, people might ask, am I following the perfect split or should I change it? Would switching from a full body to a push-pull legs give me fast results? Or am I using the right rep ranges, or should I go heavier or should I go lighter? Questions like these are very, very common. However, these questions don't really help beginners because these questions only apply to the people who have already trained, the gym goers who have gone for at least 1 year, 2 years. And for new beginners, these don't really matter at all. And while they may be common to hear, you do not need to worry about them. They're known as extra fluff. And this is the mindset that you need to adopt to make really good progress in the gym. So you can cross out all these questions. You don't need to be asking any of these. And the only question is, do you have the right mindset? Where consistency is key. Without the repeated effort in the gym, nothing will actually take place. Or are you always pushing yourself to failure? Failure is where you break the muscle. Even if you have a perfect routine, progress cannot be made without training to failure. So when I started, I both trained to failure and I both trained to not failure. And what I've noticed was when I trained to failure, I experienced 10 times more growth. It's phenomenal how much failure can do. So even if you have the perfect routine, without training to failure, it does nothing. And the next is a mistake doesn't matter. So when you go to the gym, you might experience a few problems, right? A few form problems, and you might experience a few nutritional problems, stuff like that. And you need to get into the mindset where the problems don't actually matter. It's what you do after the problem that matters. So for example, if you experience pain in your shoulder, for example, when bench pressing, are you doing something to change about that problem, or are you just going to let it happen and it carries on and spirals into a worse problem? So that's the type of mentality you need to have. It's called a growth mindset, and it allows you to progress so much faster because you're always just willing to learn. You're willing to do better form, or you're willing to ask questions. So you need to adopt a growth mindset. And the last one is you don't need any fancy extras. So all you need to stick by is a few proven lifts, you need a simple diet, and you need progressive overload. Those are the three big trifecta that you need. And that'll just take you 99%. Well, I said 90, but it'll take you literally 99% of the way. Because you've got to realize that by repeatedly doing these proven lifts, by repeatedly going on a really good diet, your body will adjust and your body will improve itself by itself. And these are the only three main things that you need to follow in order to make insane progress. Move to chapter 2, which is the... Alright, now we can move to chapter 2, which is the routine blueprint that you guys should follow for an entrepreneur. So you don't need a 5-day, or you don't need a 6-day, or even a 7-day routine. That's way too much time for not too much progress. What the two things that we want are optimization and efficiency in our workouts. So I meticulously designed a 3-day workout that targets each muscle group twice at least, and it's fully optimized and fully efficient for entrepreneurs. And I'll walk you guys through it. So on Monday, what we have is a rest day. So during the rest day, you can do cardio, or you can do light cardio, you can do stretches, you can do active stretches, stuff like that. But you don't need to lift any weights, because Monday is just the day to prepare yourself for Tuesday, which is a full body but push focused. So what push means is it's essentially working the shoulders and it's working the chest. And that's because you're pushing, and these are the muscles that are required for a push. So to start off with, we have a compound movement, which is dips. I tend to go for 2 sets to 8 to 10 reps. I'll explain what these numbers mean. Next, we have hammer curls, and then we have shoulder press Smith machines, we have barbell squats, tricep push down, or overhead extensions. So that's something that you can, switch around for, and lateral raises. So I'll walk you through what each of these numbers mean and what these exercises are. So for weighted dips, as you know, dips are really, really good for targeting the chest and triceps. I tend to go very, very heavy on these, and I tend to go medium weight, but quite high reps, just to actually, I tend to do 2 sets of 8 reps to 10 reps for weighted dips, where I start off with a weight I can do for 8 reps, right? And then each week or each session, I just try to increase that number of reps. So maybe in the first week, I do 8 reps for 30 kilos. And then the next week, I do 8 reps for 30 kilos again. And then the next week, I do 9 reps. And then I move to 10 reps. And the moment you get to 10 reps, you want to increase the weight so you can lower it down back to 8 reps. And I've just found out that the 8 to 10 rep is what allowed me to progress the most. At a lower rep range, I tend to not make as much strength progress, as well as hypertrophy progress. And if the rep is too much, if the rep is too high, then you're essentially tiring yourself out without making as much progress as you can, and you're fatiguing yourself for the rest of the session. All right, for hammer curls, that's self-explanatory. For a shoulder press machine, I go quite heavy on these. I do 8 to 12 reps. So I start off with 8 reps. Week to week, I try to increase my reps to more and more and more until I reach 12. And then I increase the weight until I go back to 8 reps. Cool. And the reason why I added barbell squats was because for full body, you need to work your whole body, right? And the squats is the biggest like bang for your buck exercise for your legs, because it just works your quads, it just works your whole leg, and it even sometimes works your calves in some cases. And then we have tricep push down, and then we have lateral raises. Cool. These exercises should take no longer than 60 minutes altogether. So maybe rest. I tend to rest about 1 minute to 2 minutes after each set. So that just gives me plenty of time to recover. And I don't scroll on my phone, and I don't talk to anyone. I just do my exercises and I just leave. And with that mentality, you should take no longer than 60 minutes. All right. And for Thursday, so Wednesday we have rest. For Thursday, we have a full body pull focus. So that's working your backs, that's working your biceps. The weighted pull up or lat pull down. I tend to go for the weighted pull up version because weighted pull ups are a really, really good bang for your buck compound exercise because it works the whole of your back essentially. So you essentially just need you essentially need a vertical pull and a horizontal pull, and that's basically your back day completed. So we have an upper back row to complete the horizontal row, while this is the vertical and this is the horizontal. Bayesian curls, really, really good bicep exercise. JM press, and then dumbbell or barbell Romanian deadlifts for the hamstrings, because remember, we worked the quads for this one, and so we need to work the hamstrings on this day. We can superset a single calf raise. I tend to go for single leg calf raises because I can just focus on the contraction more, but you can do both legs at the same time. It doesn't really matter. You just need to hit the calves to failure. And then for rear delts, of course, I do rear delt crossover extensions to failure. Fridays, we have rest. And Saturdays, we have another full body, but this time it's leg focus. So you're working your whole leg and a little bit of the upper body. So first we have Smith machine Romanian deadlifts with barbell squats. We have quad extensions, calf raises. So all of these are for the leg, right? Just to get it out of the way. And so we're not fatiguing the leg anymore. These are the upper body exercises. So for the shoulder press, that just works your shoulders. It really gives an aesthetic physique, and it just complements the whole of your features of your bodies. We have lateral raise and we have pull-ups, and that should complete your day. And these sessions should take no longer than 60 minutes each session. So we move on to why this routine is so good. Well, first, each muscle group gets hit at least twice per week. So as you can see here, we do leg, and then we do legs, and then we do push exercises, push. So there's the combination of the exercise selection means you're hitting at least twice a week, which is essential for growth. Next, it gives enough rest for muscles to recover. The extra days you can do mobility, core, or cardio. So that gives you a lot of freedom to play around with your days, and you're essentially training for three days per week essentially. And the rest you can while you rest, you can just do mobility and core and cardio. So why this is good is you can progress significantly without sacrificing a lot of work, social life, or recovery. It prevents lagging muscle groups and builds a proportional and aesthetic physique. And the 3-day plan feels achievable as it doesn't lead to burnout. and it really builds consistency, which is the number one driver for long-term physique change. So you might be asking, how the hell do I progressive overload? Well, I'm gonna teach you in this one. So first, you need to find a weight that you can do for the reps given for each exercise. So for example, find a weight where you can do for 8 reps when it starts with 8 reps, or 10, or find a weight that you can do for 10 reps when it says 10 reps. And you can't train with ego. That's the most important thing. Put your ego aside and just do the exercises with really good form. If you do a 20 kilo for tricep extension for only 5 reps and the desired rep range is 8 to 12, then you must decrease the weight. However, if the weight is too light, then increase the weight until you reach the start of the rep range. After you found your weight, week to week, keep on trying to increase the number of reps for each set and don't slack off. Try to get 1 more rep for each exercise per week. After you reach the end of the rep range, only then should you increase the weight. And this is how you progressive overload. And for myo reps, which is the one thing that I found which works for anyone, beginners, advanced, using myo reps, anyone can progress, even if you've been training for quite a long time. So what myo reps are, is for most of these exercises, 2 sets of 8 reps is more than enough to stimulate enough growth, which is where myo reps come into play. If you fail at a certain weight, you must wait 10 to 15 seconds and then attempt as many reps as possible. Do this repeatedly until you reach your desired rep. So for example, if I did 5 reps and I needed to do a minimum of 8 reps, then I would wait 10 seconds and try to do as many reps as possible. And I'll keep on doing this until I reach 8 reps. So for example, let's say we have shoulder press, right? On the first set, I did 8 reps, completely fine. And on the second set, I could only do 5, maybe because of fatigue, or maybe because of, I don't know, sometimes my body just gives up, let's just say. That's not a problem because we still want to train to failure, right? And we can't give ourselves so much rest that it won't feel like failure. So when I finish at 5 reps, I wait 10 seconds and I try to do a few more reps. Maybe I get 6, maybe I get 7. And on the 7th rep, I can't get it up. So that means I got 2 more reps in the bank. So I rest 10 more seconds, 15 more seconds if I need. And I try to bang out 2 more reps. And then that reaches to the 8th rep where I get pretty clean. And that's the rep you want to fail at. So why are my reps so good? First, because it's time efficient. More muscle stimulus in less time. As you reach to failure, you will slow your muscles down. And what that essentially does is it brings more stimulus to the muscle where you're not resting for a big duration of time, but rather you're resting for 10, 15 seconds and then attempting to use your muscle again. Next, we have maximized muscle tension. Constant tension, which means hypertrophy without long sessions. We have a clear progression, structured reps and rest scheme. We have less joint stress, which means moderate loads reduce injury risk. And we have a psychological reward, which means fast-paced, productive training sessions and principles. We have nutritional strategy. There are only 2 ways to get a lean physique. First, you must get lean in the first place, obviously. And the second, to actually put on size, you need to lean bulk. So all the BS about, mass bulking or the trend twin stuff, don't listen to all of that. That's all just propaganda. You essentially just need to lean bulk, and that just allows you to really build from your foundation. And you might be asking how to get lean. Well, first, if you want to build the muscle and look aesthetic while doing so, you must get lean first. I already said that. To get lean, first, you must eat in a calorie deficit. What that means is you need to eat below your maintenance calories of about 200 to 500 calories. And this value depends on how much you want to lose the weight. So if you want to lose weight quickly, then you want to eat at a more caloric deficit. But if you want to lose weight more healthily or more, more just consistently, then you should eat at a slightly lower calorie deficit. So an actionable step for you to do right now is to go to this website, just search up calorie calculator and input your age, gender, weight, height, and activity level. Shoot, this is really badly spelled. Let me just, calorie calculator. So just search this on Google. You can do this on any browser or whatever, and just go to the first calorie calculator that you can see. And yeah, just enter your details and it should spit out a number for you. So mine would look around 2,100 calories for my body type. However, yours could look a little bit different, but it should be something like this, right? And to find out your maintenance calories, you need to subtract 20% of the calories to lose weight and add 20% of the calories to gain weight. This gain weight is only if you're already lean, right? If you want to get lean, then you should always do the calorie deficit. So just subtract 20% of it. So mine might look, so I'll probably subtract 420, that's 20%. And that will give me around about, 17 or 1680 calories. And that's all the calories that I need to eat for the day. And why this is so helpful is you don't need to eat just healthy food. So you don't need to have just salads or like boring stuff, right? You can eat whatever you want, just below this calorie number. Preferably high in protein and preferably low in fat. But essentially this number is what determines your weight gain. And if you are slightly on the heavier side, then I recommend maybe doing a 30% or even 40% calorie deficit. And every single day you should aim to do 30 minutes of cardio every single day. And if you have more time, if you're not as busy as an entrepreneur, then you should always aim to do more cardio. I tend to do an hour of cardio every day where I run for 30 minutes and I walk for 30 minutes. But that's just up to personal preference. And each night I have to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours. This is where the growth happens, and you need to prioritize sleep if you want to grow. And you need to prioritize sleep if you want to actually have a foundation to build on. So moving on, we have lean bulking. So this is when you're already lean and you have the foundation built up. Where do you go from there? Well, first you need to buy a measuring scale. So search anything up on Amazon and it'll just give you a thing that you can buy. I don't need to explain too much on this one. Just get a scale, because the scale is your best friend. From now on, you must always track your calories. So whatever you put in your body must be a statistic. So for example, for protein, to calculate the number of protein that you need for the day, just get your body weight in pounds times 0.7 to 1 of that number. However, if you want to maximize building muscle, you should times that number by 1.25. And that's your protein for the day. And to calculate the remaining calories, it's just your maintenance calories minus that 4 grams of protein times 4. To calculate the fat, you just need to get your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 0.35. And your remaining calories would be your maintenance calories minus your grams of protein times 4 minus your grams of fat times 9. And the carbs is just your remaining calories multiplied by 4. So an example of a meal day that I have my client on would look something like this, where breakfast, he has a really healthy breakfast, high in protein breakfast, of course. Lunch, high in protein as well. and these all fit his macros. And for dinner, high in protein as well. So as you can see, his protein intake is very, very high, and his calorie intake is not as high as he would usually eat. So currently he's trying to lean bulk. So this calorie number would be slightly higher than his maintenance calories, but not excessively higher, which is the important fact. And he's prioritizing protein intake, which is really, really important. All right, so I hope that you guys have found this really, really informative and hopefully really useful to even just get you started in the gym. And what I want is for you guys to improve, right? I don't want you guys to just be an entrepreneur and just be skinny, because you need to have a jack of all trades type mentality. You need to, do things just outside your business. And I think improving your body is one of the best ways to do so. I am looking for people who are actually able to put in mass amounts of effort and get the results that they want, right? So I'm looking for entrepreneurs who are willing to put in lots of dedication to help, transform their body into an insane aesthetic physique. And I'm working with entrepreneurs across the world to help do that. So if you're interested, then I put a link below for my Calendly where you can schedule a call in with me, and we can decide whether you're a good fit or not for my coaching. And it should take only about 30 minutes, so it wouldn't take too long of your time. And if it works well on both of our ends, then I'll get you started right away. And right away, we will start coaching you to make your body great.